Welcome to the Class of 2020 graduation ceremony. Good afternoon. I'm Stephen Hudak, Principal at Huron High School, and I'd like to welcome you to this milestone event. I need to express sincere thanks to the teaching staff. We have wonderful, dedicated teachers who have worked with students throughout their whole career. Board members for their continued support and dedication to being completely committed to kids. Our superintendent, Mr. Rowe, for all of his support. Mrs. Gallagher and Mrs. Hermanson for all of their hard work in getting this graduation ceremony prepared. The 2020 class sponsors, Mrs. Chelsea Bondman and Mr. Andrew Tomasek, who have done a phenomenal job guiding this class. I would also like to extend a thank you to the class sponsors and other staff that are here today helping out. Our counseling staff, Mrs. Backus, Mrs. Moigas, and Mr. Pliska, for getting our graduates to this point and helping them with the beyond. Mr. McCodlow and Mrs. Waddell for some of the logistics, the PowerPoint, and helping organize the ceremony. Megan O'Brien, the assistant principal at Huron High School, for all of her help keeping the building going and running smoothly. Marty Salazar, the athletic director, for all of his support and guidance with students. Susan Withy, Clifton Mullins, and Chris Catapultis for the programs and technical support. Our hardworking custodial and maintenance staff. Michigan Memorial Flower Shop for the wonderful arrangements and the greenery. Officer Napo, the Huron Township Police Department, and the Huron Township Fire Department. Today, graduates will be wearing different cords and tassels and stoles. The gold cord represents the top 10. The black and silver twisted cord recognizes students graduating summa cum laude. The silver cord recognizes students graduating magna cum laude. Black cord recognizes students graduating cum laude. Red cords are students who have earned Chief Pride. Red, white, and blue cords are students who have signed with the armed services. The blue stole and gold and blue tassel recognizes National Honor Society membership. Purple and white cords, National Technical Honor Society. Medallions are worn by our valedictorian and salutatorian. Professional photographers and videographers will be on site. Purchasing will be available and information will be distributed. Students will receive a flower when they descend the stage. They are asked to give this flower to someone who made a significant influence in their education. Thank you all and enjoy today's ceremony.
Good afternoon, classmates, families, and faculty. A quote by Lily Bahir states that, behind you, all your memories, before you, all your dreams, around you, all who love you, within you, all you need. Most graduating seniors can relate to the ideas within this quote. After today, we will all put high school behind us as we look forward to the future. We will graduate among our class while surrounded by those who love us. We're all here to celebrate our completion of learning the skills we need to be successful in life. Today is the day we have worked so hard for these past 12 years. Graduation is seen as the end of a part of our life filled with familiar people while also being a new beginning for the future. As a class, we missed out on knowing our last day was upon us and that it would be the last time we walked the halls of the school we made so many memories. It's where we watched countless football games on Friday nights, cheered loudest for our class at pep rallies, and spent time with friends in the few minutes we had between class. We didn't get a final farewell to the classmates and teachers who we spent time with day after day, but we'll never forget any of the memories that came before it. Some of us here have known each other almost our whole lives, while others came in throughout the years. No matter where we started, we have all worked hard and earned the right to walk across the stage today and to be honored for our accomplishments. We may not get the traditional celebration, but we haven't been overlooked. We have been honored and celebrated in our own unique ways by the teachers, faculty, families, and the pride we feel in ourselves for reaching this milestone in our lives. What makes each of us who we are is influenced by those around us. We have all been affected by our teachers and classmates in different ways, forming bonds and friendships that will affect us for the rest of our lives. The memories we made in high school are not lost on us because of our abrupt end to our senior year. Although we missed out on so many laughs of our high school years, nothing can take away from our 3.5 years we did get to spend together. We grew together as a class and have all come a long way from where we started freshman year. One of the many things we were able to accomplish as a class was that float building. We improved each year until we finally won after having by far the biggest turnout in all 4 years of our class's participation. It showed how much of a difference every bit of help was at the end. It was also the biggest turnout we had for the parade because it was something we could be proud of to walk beside. I wish we could have spent the last day of school sitting in the auditorium together watching the senior video instead of being separated for it due to the circumstances, so we could be reminded together of all the good times we had and so we could celebrate them with all of the people we had those good times with. For most of us, today is the day we have all been looking forward to most of our lives. Today we will officially become Huron High School alumni. After so much time spent together, today will be the last time we are all in the same place at the same time. If there's anything we should take away from this pandemic and the impact it has had on our final year together, it's that we shouldn't take any moment for granted and we should enjoy today because we have earned it. As class president and spending 12 years in the same school district, I have come to know almost all of my class. Whether it be as a friend, teammate, classmate, or even just a familiar face in the halls, we have crossed paths at some point and I am proud to graduate among you all. We may not have gotten that last day together, walked through our old schools one last time, or enjoyed looking at our yearbooks together, but what we do get is a final farewell today. After today, we will each go our own separate ways, down our own paths, starting our lives independent of the school where we have spent most of our lives. We'll meet new people along the way, making new friends, but what will never change is the path we took getting there together to reach this point in our lives. I am proud of all of us as a class and all the things we have accomplished these past 4 years. I wish everyone the best of luck in the future, and thank you for an unforgettable 4 years.
I'd like to start by thanking all of those who have helped us during high school and during this pandemic. Teachers who have found ways to adapt their lesson plans during this stay-at-home time, thank you. The staff members who helped organize times for needy families to pick up meals at the school, thank you. Those who sanitized the school, cleaned it, and helped clean out lockers and classrooms, thank you. Parents who've had to make arrangements to stay home with our younger siblings and have helped us through this trying time, thank you. Mr. Hudak, Mrs. O'Brien, Mrs. Baumann, and Mr. Tomasek, who have given up their time and risked their health to go above and beyond to honor the class of 2020, despite the circumstances, thank you. On a quick personal note, I would also like to thank my family for supporting me and helping me to get here today, Noah for making my senior year much more bearable, the teachers who gave me the foundation I needed to succeed in high school, my friends for listening to me and making me laugh over these past 4 years. If at this time a year ago, someone had asked me what I thought I'd be doing on any given day in spring 2020, I'd say I'd be at my last few weeks of high school, saying my goodbyes and celebrating my graduation. Never in a million years would I have guessed that I'd be sitting at home or working during school hours. I think it's quite an understatement when I say, man, what a year. There's no question we got robbed of our senior year. We had to endure the working part of senior year without reaping the benefits of being celebrated at the end. We had to put our own disappointments aside, lamenting our great loss alone in our houses while hiding away for the greater good. I've really been struggling with this, and I'm sure many of you feel the same way. It's hard when all you want to do is complain about all you've lost, but you're forced into silence because the people out there getting sick are more important. But this is what has made us stronger. Every generation has their crowning moment, and this is ours. We were born in a nation rising out of the ashes of 9/11, and we will rise up from COVID-19 as well. Like many of you, I became an adult faster than I wanted to as a result of all of this. In a few weeks, I went from a normal high school student with a side job to working nearly 30 hours a week, living an adult life. I know that we're all still new at this, but I've learned a lot in the past few months, and I'd like to impart what little wisdom I have onto you, class of 2020. 1. Yes, hard work is important, but sometimes it doesn't always pay off. Sometimes you need to take a step back and realize that not everything bad to ever happen to you was your fault. 2. Don't look down on anyone because they make less money than you. Everyone deserves to be treated with respect. 3. If this pandemic has taught us anything, everything can be taken away from you in an instant, so make sure to value what you have when you have it. 4. Others, whether that means employers, politicians, people you're close to, or authority figures, won't always have your best interests in mind, so be careful in who you choose to surround yourself with and who do you trust. Class of 2020, the grown-up world is a dangerous place, but I know that this experience has forced us all to grow up faster. I hope that in whatever you all end up doing, you remember to conduct yourselves with integrity and good character, no matter if you become successful by the standards of the world or not, because there's so much more to life than money. Class of 2020, I have the utmost confidence that you will all succeed in whatever you choose to do with your life. Thank you.
If you're watching this, then it probably means that we were unable to have a normal graduation. At the time I'm writing this speech, I'd be very disappointed if that happens, but it only puts a small stain on what have otherwise been 4 incredibly unique and important years in all of our lives. To get the ball rolling, I'd like to thank my parents for giving birth to me, the Huron High School staff for obvious reasons, and more specifically, whoever put the time limit on these speeches so I don't feel so bad about making mine so short. For almost everyone completing high school, it's a bittersweet experience. There's the relief of finally being done with school and the homework and the stress, but also there's the bittersweetness of knowing that you'll never see a large portion of the class of 2020 again. No doubt we have all grown as individuals since we first came to the school, but I would argue that the most important ways we have grown are subtler than one might think. For instance, we have all grown physically and intellectually, but most importantly, we have grown relationally. If you were to look around right now, I'm sure you would see friends that you never thought you would have. We've all grown closer to each other and grown in the ways that we are able to connect with other people. Inevitably, many friendships will fade and new ones will be formed in far-off places with new people. But we have all gained the ability to adapt socially and connect with one another throughout our experience at Huron High School. As we go on to college, trade school, or through a vast number of post-high school opportunities, one thing remains constant. We have all grown and learned at the same place. To address the masked elephant in the appropriately socially distanced room, we are the class to graduate in the midst of an international pandemic. It can be easy to despair in this and wallow about all the memories that we have missed out on, but instead we can recognize that the pandemic makes up a short amount of the time that we had together. We enjoyed 4 years of Friday night football games and homecoming dances. We enjoyed 3 2/3 years of typical high school days. And I'm sure we all felt the increasingly difficult struggle to show up to school on time senior year. But the pandemic did reveal the importance of the friendships and the bonds that we were able to form with one another during the time that we did have. And so the only advice that I could offer to all of us going off in our many different ways is never hesitate to reach out and connect with other people. Often once you get to know people, you grow to love the parts of them that made you apprehensive to approach them in the first place. And so, the connections we made in high school are worth far more than the random geometry formulas we learned and probably will never use again. And for this, I thank the Huron High School staff, students, and community for giving us a place to grow and learn what it means to personally connect with the world.
First, I would like to thank the families, friends, staff, our superintendent, Mr. Rowe, for the support with this event this afternoon. It has been interesting getting to this point these past 3 months. Next, I would like to thank and recognize the school board for their support. Mr. Jack Rickert, Mr. Scott Ferguson, Mrs. Alice Whitehead, Mr. Corey Roop, Mrs. Dana Town, Mr. Nate Cornwall, and Mrs. Trina Zawara. Thank you for all you do for our students. If you are a parent here today of a class of 2020 graduate, I would like to extend a sincere thank you for allowing us to educate and play a significant part of your child's life. Thank you for your role in raising such fine young men and women. I extend to you sincere gratitude and praise for your hard work and dedication to your child. Graduates, make sure you hug your parents today. Now I'd like to turn our attention to the graduating class of 2020. We are very proud of these graduates, as we should be. They were a special class for multiple reasons. 59% of this class has graduated with a 3.0 or higher. 13% of this class has graduated with a 4.0 or higher. 58% of this class has indicated they are going on to a community college, trade school, or a university. 15 members of this class have received scholarships to play college sports. Austin Suzak, Zachary Topex, and Brianna Vargo. These 3 young adults have committed to serving our country in the armed forces and have signed with the U.S. Army or the U.S. Navy. And now, the class of 2020 is graduating. They are now continuing down their own roads and moving on to develop their own place in the world. I'm sure many of the parents, relatives, and friends can remember back when these graduates were only little children. It is hard to think about the fact that just 13 years ago, these young adults were getting ready for kindergarten. Graduates, life is going to take you on an amazing journey, as mine has for me. 32 years ago, I walked across the stage and became a Huron High School graduate. In reflecting on the past 32 years and thinking about what has guided me towards success, the characteristics I possess, and what advice I can impart to you talented graduates, I came up with the following. Let your actions speak for you. How you carry yourself and what you do help define who you are and the character that people see in you. Enjoy what you do. You have your whole career ahead of you, and it is important to make sure you enjoy the work that you do. Continue to learn. Life is about learning, and even when you have challenges to overcome, look at these as learning opportunities. Educate yourself and continue to grow. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. The energy you receive from people, both in your personal and professional life, makes a difference. Make sure you are surrounded with positive people. Work hard. While learning and education can advance you, hard work and perseverance is just as relevant. Stay the course and apply yourself to all you do. Be honest. Telling the truth is important. If you don't know something, admit it. Ask for help when you need it. Be yourself. You will continue to find who you are in the coming years. Life is much happier when you are you and not defined by others. Be you and be proud. Lastly, be a nice person. Have compassion and listen to people. Do a kind act and be happy by making others happy. Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote, "To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded." I believe these are all characteristics that have guided me to success in my personal and professional life. I would encourage each and every one of you graduates to continue to develop these aspects as you define yourself in the coming years. Life goes by pretty fast. I never saw the time go by where I would say 32 years ago, I did something, but here I am. Class of 2020, remember you are prepared for the next steps in your life and for the challenges that await you. Honestly, class of 2020, you, more so than any other graduating class from Huron High School, understand this best. These past few months have taught you to appreciate what you have when you have it. No one ever suspected on March 13th, 2020 would be the last day we would all be together learning, laughing, and growing as one. As you move forward in your endeavors, have confidence in your abilities. When you are faced with struggles, as you have been and as you will, remember how hard you have worked to achieve this success and continue to have the same perseverance to get through life's struggles. Finally, class of 2020, you have grown into fine young men and women right before our eyes. I am proud of each and every one of you and know you are destined for great things. Remember from where you came and go forth and continue to make us proud. Before I present the class of 2020 to Mr. Rowe for certification, I want to challenge this class. I mentioned I graduated class of 1988. I know that my class has never been together since graduating because I have never attended a reunion. Class of 2020, I want you to try your best to come together when things are back to some normalcy as a class and celebrate your successes. I have been proud to be your principal, and I hope each and every one of you realize this, and I wish you all the best. Mr. Rowe, it is my honor and pleasure to certify for you the Huron High School Class of 2020.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank Mr. Hudak for his kind words that he's spoken and for all that he's done for the students this year. I've been in the Huron School District for 21 years. I was a teacher, an assistant principal, and a principal before I became superintendent. I've seen a lot of things, and to be honest, I thought I'd seen it all, but I've never seen anything quite like this school year. This has literally been the strangest and most disruptive school year that I've ever seen. And for the class of 2020, it's now become part of your story. Looking back at your 13 years from kindergarten until now, there's no way to see this in any other way than marking a change from one stage of your life to another. This year's been stamped with change. First, we encountered the coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. The worldwide pandemic shut down the entire school, the state, led to about 5,900 deaths as of the recording of this today. In the midst of this crisis, we were told about a possible invasion of giant hornets in the US, also called murder hornets. I'm not sure if you remember those. That seemed to be more of an annoyance than a crisis. And most recently, we witnessed the killing of George Floyd, and we've seen protests around the nation and the world calling for reform and calling for change. I don't think anyone can deny that this moment in history is marked with change. I have 4 children of my own. One of them, my oldest son, is graduating from high school this year. I've been talking a lot with him this year about the quarantine and the change happening in the world. I know the quarantine was hard on him. Like most of you, he was cut off from physical contact with friends, unable to experience the last 12 weeks of school, unable to experience the end of his senior year. I've tried to tell him that his senior year is unique and that this will make a great story for the future. But future memories never seem to be a good trade when compared to the loss of experiences, and he knows that. My son also is excited about the future and the change that it represents in his life. New things are ahead, and that can be scary and also an exciting time. Many people don't like change at all, because change means that things will be different, and we don't always like to be different. We like our routines, and we feel safe with what we know. But class of 2020, you'll soon be confronting change head on. You'll be opening a new chapter in your life, and I want to encourage you to embrace the change, because as scary as it can be, it also gives you freedom to be whatever you want to be and to do whatever you want to do. Change can be exciting. It can open our eyes to new things and to a new chapter of memories in our lives. Change can open up opportunities that we never imagined and new experiences that we haven't expected. And remember that you're prepared for the future and the challenges that are ahead. In the years to come, you'll have opportunities to create many more memories, and this change today will be the spark that ignites the fire of changing your lives. So as you cross across the graduation stage, I want to encourage you to take time to remember those people who helped you get to this moment. Think of where you've been and where you want to go. Embrace the change that's coming in your life. Years from now, when you're graduating from college, embarking on a new career, getting married, starting a family, or getting ready for your 15-year reunion, you can look back and remember the time that you had at Huron High School and the changes that you've experienced since then. It's been my honor to be your superintendent. I'm very proud of you. I know you do great things in the future. So on behalf of the Huron School District, it's my privilege to present the Huron School District Class of 2020 to our school board president, Mr. Jack Rickert. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I start with our moms, our dads, our grandparents, friends, families of our graduates to say thank you. Additionally, thank you to the bus drivers, the custodians, the support staff, administrators, coaches, and teachers that for the last 13 years have provided the educational foundational skills needed to continue along your path of life. To the graduates, a question. Do you want to know who you are? This question was once asked and answered by Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson said, do you want to know who you are? Don't ask, act. Action will define and delineate who you are. Jefferson reminds us that we alone have the ability to define who we become. It's through our own actions that our path are laid. In other words, each of you has the ability to determine your own future. Your path is yours. Your path will not always be smooth. Along the way, you will surely encounter bumps. It is how you react to these bumps that will define you. You can allow the rocky way to define who you are, or you can rise up to the challenges. You may choose how to react, and you should learn from each new challenge along the way. Whether your path is school, the trades, the military, or the workforce, you and you alone determine your future. The choices you make will define who and what you will become. The people here today have provided you with the skills to make the right choices, the ability to act and react with character. Now it's up to you. Go do it. Mr. Hudak, Ms. O'Brien, Mr. Rowe, on behalf of the Board of Education, it gives me great pleasure to accept and certify the class of 2020. Thank you.
And now I present to you the graduated class of 2020.